Good morning. Today we're going to teach you how to make a gluten-free cookie base. Now this can be made many different ways, and this is the way we do it. In my bowl I have a cup of butter and about 2/3 of a cup of honey. I have 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla. For my wet ingredients, for the dry ingredients, I have 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And in this bowl, already mixed, are 2 cups of our PCE baking mix and spices. Now my spices in here are cinnamon and nutmeg. I'm not going to give you the proportions. It's up to you. You don't have to use them. You can if you want to. So, in the bowl, we have the butter and the honey, and we're going to add, if my brain will work this morning, we are going to add the brown sugar. Lock the mixer down, and turn that on and let it go. As you can see, it whips up fairly quickly. When it gets to that point, I know a lot of people like to let it go until it's all fluffy, but I put the eggs in now. And then I stop the mixer and scrape the bowl down. Now my sides are scraped down. I'll lock the mixer in place, and then I let it go and do its job now. Now I'm going to put in my vanilla. You could at this point use just about anything other than vanilla. You could use a Jamaican rum flavor, you could use lemon even, or lime oil, or orange oil, or strawberry flavor, or you could add a bit of cassia, which is cinnamon. You could even put coffee flavor in these. This is a base. You can make this taste like just about anything. So now we're just going to let the mixer, I'm going to turn it up and just let it get fluffy. Now, as you can see, it's about good 4 or 5 minutes since I let this start. And as you can see, I left it on about between 5 and 6. Or, well, I guess 4 and 6 is what this mixer says. So 5. And now you can see that it's nice and fluffy. So that was all my wet ingredients. Now we are going to pour in our flour, which of course, as I said, was our PCE baking mix plus our spices, and we are going to add in our baking soda, salt, and xanthan gum. So now that those are in there, we're going to close the mixer again, and we're going to put those on just until they're incorporated. I'm sure you've realized by now that I don't normally put the xanthan gum and the baking soda and the salt in like that. Usually I put them all together with the baking flour, but for today, just to show you, I've separated them out. Now, if you have a look at your cookie batter, it should be nice and perfect. Ooh, it tastes good too. Alright, so now we're going to scrape that down and get it ready to put on cookie sheets. So, let's get going here. At this point, as you can see, it's nice and smooth and it is cookie dough. At this point you would put your add-ins. So if you want to make this chocolate chip cookies, you would put your about 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips, or chocolate chunks, or mini chocolate chips. We use a combination of mini chocolate chips and chocolate chunks. You could put, oh goodness, craisins, raisins, chocolate chips. You could put sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, flax seeds. You could put just about anything in this. We aren't a facility that uses nuts, but you could easily turn these into pecan cookies, chocolate pecan cookies. You could put walnuts, you could put almonds. As I say, because we don't use nuts, doesn't mean you don't have to use nuts. All right, the question has been asked. Do we have to use honey? No, you don't have to use honey. What you can use, the original, is what the original recipe calls for, which is a cup of sugar and a cup of brown sugar. I find that makes a very stiff cookie, a nice crunchy cookie. So if you don't want a soft cookie, which is what these turn into, then you can very easily just swap out the honey and put in some sugar, regular white sugar. You could use agave syrup rather than the honey. That would also give you the crispy texture of a crunchy cookie. So what we're going to do is, so as you can see, we've got the tablespoon cookie. Well, it's an ice cream scoop, a little itty bitty tablespoon ice cream scoop. And this is going to make perfectly rounded cookies. If I wanted larger cookies, I would use the 3 tablespoons. So it's not quite 1/4 of a cup. It's 2 tablespoons, something like. It's the next size up. These are from Pampered Chef. We got the set of 3, so it's whatever the next size up would be is the one we normally use. Today we're going to be making Jelly Belly cookies, and I have a couple of extra hands in the kitchen who are going to very carefully place Jelly Bellies. We like 4 Jelly Bellies. That's a nice mouth consistency. If, however, you would like more Jelly Bellies, you can put more Jelly Bellies in. Or if you would like to hand put your chocolate chips in to make them look like the perfect chocolate chip cookies that you get in packages, you could very easily do that here. Now normally there would be 12 cookies on a sheet for us, but because these are teeny tiny little cookies, we can put a few more. Alright, the question was asked by my small people in the kitchen. What happens if people don't have a small ice cream scoop? Well, this is a drop cookie. And with a drop cookie, you can simply use 2 spoons to scoop and put the cookies on the tray. The spacing is up to you. If you want cookies that touch, space them closer. We don't want cookies that touch, so we give them lots of room to grow. So, as I said before, we're just going to keep going. This makes a big batch of cookies, especially at this size. At this size, you could easily get 6 or 7 dozen cookies. So if you don't want a batch of cookies that big, either make the cookies bigger or cut your recipe in half. Alright, now, as you can see there, I really need a new phrase, but we have our oven preheated to 350. We are on convect bake, and we have 6 dozen cookies. I am going to start putting them in. A second hand would be helpful here. I'm actually going to put 4 in, because our oven is large enough that we can do that and they'll come out fine. And there we go. Now we're going to bake these. Ooh, as I said, yay, you get to see more of my kitchen. We are going to bake these for 10 minutes because they're not very big. If they were larger cookies, you would bake them for a longer period of time. I have a very quick oven, So 10 minutes is plenty for these. If they were larger cookies, I would bake them for 12 minutes. And if you make giant cookies with these, which are always great for fundraisers and occasions like that, then they take about 15 minutes. It has been pointed out to me that these don't look like what I showed you when I first showed you what we were doing. When we put the Jelly Bellies in, see, got 1, 2, 3, 4 Jelly Bellies. We then put them and just give them a little squish. And for whatever reason, it gives you a nice round cookie. Now, under normal circumstances, I would not open the oven, but I just had to show you. This is the cookies. They're got a couple more minutes left to bake, but as you can see by there, they're getting nice and golden, and they've puffed to almost perfect circles. And I'll just close that back up because it does not like being open. And here's the finished product. As you can tell, they are almost perfect circles. Their Jelly Bellies are still the right color. You can clearly see what they are. All nicely 3-packed because they're ready to go. But I also wanted to show you what the same cookie base with chocolate chips and chocolate chunks looks like. And there you have. That's the same base done as chocolate chip, chocolate chunk. These guys are all ready to be packaged. These ones just came out of the oven. Again, scooped with a ice cream scoop. We don't place the chocolate chips and chocolate chunks in these. We just pop them in the mixer and let the mixer do its job. And there you have. That's the same base done as chocolate chip, chocolate chunk. These guys are all ready to be packaged. These ones just came out of the oven. Again, this is the same base, but made into trail mix cookies. So as you can see, craisins, raisins, chocolate chips, but it's all the same base. Little different spices. So that recipe, as I said, so versatile. You can turn them into just about anything. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this gets you baking. Don't be afraid to bake. Doesn't matter that you can't use butter. Use earth balance, use margarine, use coconut oil, use less of it if you're going to use something soft. But don't worry about health restrictions. Just find what you need and get baking again. So I hope you enjoyed this.